There a path for Miami to reach the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference as other teams deal with injuries to key players. We'll break down the possibilities. Plus, there's an update on Tyler Herro's return to action. Wes, is this good news for the team's playoff hopes?
David, I can't believe we even have to ask this question nowadays. Yes. Yes, it is.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang, become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. Jam-packed show for you today. The Heat get a break when it comes to their push for the playoffs, and they make a pair of roster moves that we're going to talk about here in a second, but we're going to start with the big news of the day. Tyler Herro looks like he'll be making his return sooner rather than later. He's set to participate in today's practice. Could be available as soon as the games this weekend. The Heat play the Hawks in Atlanta on Friday night, and then they're home versus Memphis on the second night of a back-to-back on Saturday. This is according to the Miami Herald, David. Herro was dealing with maybe a bigger injury than had initially been let on. He had been recovering, again, from the Miami Herald, from 3 fractured ribs after suffering a buccal rib fracture during the Heat's January 10th road loss to the Indiana Pacers. Herro went on to play the next 3 games with the help of Toradol shots to ease the pain, but a subsequent MRI on his ribs revealed the severity of the injury. Herro missed the Heat's final 15 games before the All-Star break because of what the Heat listed as, quote, right, and I'm going to do my best here, costochondral injury to the ribs. I'm sure I got that wrong. Which refers to the joints where the ribs connect the cartilage. That has added to the pain that Herro's dealt with while sidelined, end quote. A little surprising. I mean, maybe, I guess that, I mean, we're talking about fractured ribs. I'm no doctor. I don't know the definition of costochondral, but I wasn't expecting fractured ribs here.
Yeah, neither was I. He's so fragile, though, right? I mean, that's just how it is. I can just imagine his biggest critics, loudest critics claiming that he was fragile, but fractured ribs, I mean, that sounds painful. Again, not a doctor, but I assume that probably causes a great deal of pain. And the fact that he was able to play through them, I think it kind of, what's going to get lost in all this messaging and whether he returns and what his impact will be is the fact that he tried to play through it. And I think that kind of shows the temerity there, the idea that that he is fragile, is still out there, still lingering because he has missed time due to injury over the course of his career. But the toughness is undeniable. So kudos to him for trying to work his way back and for taking the time to get better. So we'll see what he's like when he returns, because I think both you and I are expecting big things from him.
I would like more transparency about some of these injuries. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm honestly just sort of sick of this stuff, and I really don't know how this organization keeps getting away with this. So I'll leave that there.
Because it doesn't matter, right? It does. The other teams in the league aren't impacted by it. Now,
sure, I'm
curious. Well, not really. I mean, he's out. He's listed as out. They do their best. They do what they're supposed to.
But so it would be nice if the other teams, when they're sending their league scout to the Heat games, being like, I don't know if Herro's going to play or not. But if they knew that he had 3 fractured ribs, they'd probably know that they don't have to prepare for Tyler Herro, right? Just in case he does play. But and really what it is, it's the betting markets, if we want to get down to brass tacks on this. And we've seen Adam Silver lay the hammer on some of these teams for injury reporting, and the Heat a couple of years ago, for the record. And the Heat are not the only team that does this, but the league really has to figure, like, this is ridiculous. Like, we had fractured ribs. Come on now. Like, at least do the thing where it's like he'll be reevaluated in 6 weeks or whatever it's going to be. But we never got anything like that. He was just always on the injury report, and every time anybody asked for an update, it's like, I don't know, but he's making progress. It's like, all right, cool. We're all technically making progress. I'm making progress towards death every single day. What does that mean? So
it's like a grim turn in the middle of the podcast here. I mean, we're in segment 1 here. I mean, I know the play-in is kind of taxing us all, but I'd like not to think about the specter of death kind of shadowing over everything we do, but
It's healthy. It's healthy.
Progress.
So what do the Heat need from Tyler Herro? That's the big. How can he help if he's back, assuming he's 100% healthy or at least close to it?
He's the consistent go-to option when the offense bogs down. You hope that he is a little bit more consistent and able to knock down the perimeter shot, because he did return, and that was a bit of a struggle for somebody who has been such a great shooter over the course of his career. But what you need from him is to be able to go out there and be like, you know what? When the offense bogs down, as we know it will, you can go to him the same way that we've seen them go to Norm Powell over the course of the season. You know, you can get a second option from Tyler. And so we've talked about the kind of question of how they're playing together, what the fit will be like, and whether or not it can be as smooth as possible going into this next 26-game stretch. But for Tyler, you need to be able to see him be confident and capable and being able to generate offense for himself and for others. And I think that's a huge thing, because it did struggle. It was a little bit of a difficulty for him to be the kind of player that we expect him to be. I think we were all very bullish on the idea of putting these top-notch all-star level scorers, him and Powell, alongside Bam and Adebayo at the beginning of the season. We just haven't seen it play out the way we expected it to. And so now you've got 26 games to kind of prove it. So I'm glad that he's getting some practice sessions in before he actually returns. I'm sure he's been doing the work necessary. We never doubt that from Tyler. And so when he goes out there, now it's another guy who can create the offense and be able to make plays for others, because we've seen that be a struggle for Miami as they kind of shift their identity from this offensive juggernaut at the start of the season to more of a defensive-minded team. You still need to beat the other team by scoring more points. That's still the basis of the game. And so for Tyler, that's his big role.
Yeah, so Herro and Powell have played 324 total possessions together this season. Just for reference, that's nothing, okay? That's not a whole lot. They are outscoring opponents in those possessions, however, by 2.3 points per 100 possessions. That's okay. It's pretty good. You'd like it to be better with your two stars, but small sample. The offense really hasn't been that strong in their minutes together. But again, small sample, all things considered. They're with Herro and Powell and Bam on the court together, slightly fewer possessions, but then you see the point differential go way up, plus 6.8 points per 100 possessions. That's elite. That's a really good. That's a good mark. Not elite, but that's a very strong mark for what essentially is your top three players, right?
Right.
If you could capture that and bottle that and use that over the final 26 games, that's sort of the idea here, right? Bam is good enough defensively to cover up not only for Herro, but also for Powell defensively. Powell's he's not Herro defensively, but he will get attacked occasionally. And then we'll see what the rest of that starting lineup looks like. Wiggins will be a part of it, I'm sure. I guess is it Davion Mitchell? Is it Pella Larson? Is it Kel'el Ware? We'll see. But right now, I do think that as long as Herro's healthy, he steps right back into a starting role alongside Norm Powell, who also, by the way, should be playing Friday night. He's expected to play. And that's how I think the Heat should work him back in. Just throw him in there, man. Like 26 games left. As long as he's ready to go and play 30-ish minutes a game, I see no reason to sort of manage this right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can't really afford to. There's too few opportunities now for Miami. They have to be able to know what they have available to them, and that includes Tyler and being able to play a full level of minutes per game and be able to be productive during these times. You have to be able to see how that pairing works, because you're not going to have time on the fly as you approach the playoffs. There's no experience there. There's no enough of a sample size where you could say, well, we know at some point we can't even afford to take some games additionally for him to kind of reintegrate himself. That's not the case. These two players just haven't played enough time together. And so for the Miami to be able to make a strong push towards the playoffs, you need to be able to see what Tyler's capable of. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think he goes immediately to the starting lineup, and you see what you have out there and just kind of take your chances, Look, I think the concerns defensively are valid. Again, I think Tyler is a much better defender than people give him credit for. I think he gets attacked a lot because he's Tyler Herro, and I think that's just a reality. Is a lot of people are going to say, you know what, we're going to go at him. But he does do a lot as far as his help defense. And as you and I have talked about a number of times, his rebounding is crucial for a team that did struggle with the rebounding, numbers. I think he's certainly going to help. and we also have an additional playmaker there. So would you like him to be a little bit more tough, perhaps, in certain situations, or be a little bit more physical? I just don't think that's the nature of his game. And I'm curious to see whether or not other players attack him in terms of like trying to re-aggravate that rib injury, because it does happen. Will we see a little elbow, a little extra action here to try and re-aggravate that injury? It's probably
harder screens maybe on the backside of him and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It's a great point. His 3-level scoring is something that's going to be really impactful. The playmaking, the ability to draw attention and kick out. I mean, that's something that Tyler Herro has really developed the last couple of years here. There's no question that he's going to help. And Miami, for the record, yes, Tyler Herro gets attacked defensively, and we saw that on the biggest stage against Cleveland in the playoffs last year. We're not talking about a playoff series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland right now. You're talking about 26 games left in the regular season, 7th easiest schedule remaining. Tyler Herro can eat for these next couple of months here, and the Heat need him to. The Heat are getting back guys. Obviously, we're talking about Tyler Herro and Norm Powell, two teams that they're chasing the standings. They've lost key players. We're going to talk about that next.
Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and the only one is going to take the top spot. 5 Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors, something for everybody, and they give you a boost with 0 sugar. They've got a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned. So basically, you just pick your top flavors and you can debate which one you like best. There's so many about them that you like, whether it's a confetti craze, fruity rainbow, cotton candy, you like a little sweet addition to your flavors. That's the best way to do it. So find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen. As you might have heard us mention on the show, we recently launched a new subscription program called the Everydayer Club. That includes ad-free shows, access to a group chat for Heat fans on Discord, and now we're launching an all-access tier as part of that program that includes even more. If you sign up, you're going to get the perks that I just mentioned, plus the ability to text me and David directly, submit questions for post-game shows, and subscriber-exclusive episodes of Locked On Heat, and anything else that we come up with. If you were a member of the All Access tier, you got the text yesterday on the latest news regarding Myron Gardner getting called up. We'll talk about that here in a second. If you're interested in being part of the Cooking Gang and joining the All Access tier, tap the link in the show notes or head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to learn more. Season starts up again tonight across the rest of the league. The Heat are going to play their first game on Friday night tomorrow in Atlanta. The goal over the next 26 games that we talked about on this show before, David, is to escape the play-in tournament. The chase is on for 6th place in the East. I guess we could sound the alarms for that. Some news, though, lately that could help the Heat in that chase. Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic ruled out indefinitely. He's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. But talking to Philip Rossman-Reich, who covers the team for Locked On Magic, he's like, his season might be over. And so obviously that helps Miami, because he's been their best player this season. Yeah. And so not having him is a big deal. And then Joel Embiid for the Sixers, dealing with a shin injury. He's already ruled out for their game against the Hawks tonight. So when you look at the standings, Philadelphia, they're 2 games up on Miami in that 6th seed. Orlando right now is a half game up on Miami for that 7th seed. A reminder that the Heat have to have a flat-out better record than the Orlando Magic, because they lost the tiebreaker because for some reason they cannot beat the Orlando Magic. So the Heat need to have a better record than Orlando. They're also going to have a better record than Philadelphia in order to, more likely than not, in order to escape the play-in tournament. But these injuries should help them in that pursuit.
Will it? I don't know.
Should.
I think so. The surface
Should is doing a lot of work there in that sentence.
Yeah, I know. I've mentioned the point before, but it's just this team, it never operates the way you expect them to. And yeah, when you hear about these key injuries to other teams that are kind of battling for those same seedings, it does make a lot of sense. It's going to help Miami. They're dealing with these same things, but Miami has their own issues. And I kind of like the approach. And I know we've heard it from Eric Spoelstra before, but right now, just worry about your own backyard. Like, just figure out what you've got to do better and not count on what other teams are doing, because I think that's the big concern. That's what I would want to see. Did the injuries help? In some degree, I think they might. But I want Miami to just kind of lean forward into this direction, whatever it might be. They've got to be able to address their own key issues and figure it out, because this team is good enough. I really do believe that. And I know we haven't seen evidence of it. So, I mean, I might be sounding insane that despite the evidence to the contrary, I'm still kind of bullish about this group. But to me, when I hear about these other injuries, on the surface, again, it seems like it would be a positive thing for Miami, but they don't necessarily respond to those kinds of things. You know, they can play down to their competition. And so my feeling is that their approach to the rest of the season is like, you know what, we've got to be the best version of ourselves possible and deal with what we have on this roster and maximize it to the best of our ability on both ends, because we haven't seen this group capable of that, whether they've been good offensively or better defensively, but never the two show me. And that's a problem. And so you've got to be continuously improving over these next 26 games. I'm very excited, to be honest with you. And for the record, that's how I'm feeling about this. I know this season has been kind of difficulty, and I'm not trying to get anybody to drink the Kool-Aid or anything like that. But personally, I'm just looking at these 26 games, and I'm excited about returning to watching actual basketball, watching how this Heat team responds, and hope for the best, because I still am not convinced they're not a contender, but that's fine. They can still be a damn good playoff team and a team capable of making some noise. And over the next 26 games, I want them to go out there and prove it on a nightly basis.
I'm with you. The tanking conversation to me is irrelevant at this point. They're not going to be bad enough where they can slip to the 10th or 11th seed. They can lose in the play-in, sure, but then you're talking about having the 13th or 14th spot in the lottery. That's nothing, dude. Like that is very different than last year. Maybe, can we get the 10th best odds in the lottery, the 11th best odds in the lottery, and then we saw what happened to the Dallas Mavericks, right? Like we could do the shoulda, woulda, coulda thing all day long, but it's a different story this time around. And so I'm with you. At this point, 26 games left. You've got no better options other than just to play your bleep off and try to make the playoffs and then maybe make some noise in the first round, right? I don't know that, I don't know that the Heat were scared of Cleveland last year, but they got wiped off the floor against them. But who knows what would happen in the first round? To me, that's less important than just doing it, right? And making the most of these next 26 games, and specifically doing it with these young players, right? Doing it with Kel'el Ware and Kasparas Yakachonis and Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Pelle Larsson. This team right now is healthy. It's as healthy as it's been all season long. And that's, I think, the interesting part here is where other teams are starting to get beat up, like Orlando and Philadelphia. Miami is starting to crest here in terms of health at the right time. And that is a positive thing. I do think these injuries, you're right, David. You have to take care of your own business first and foremost. You got to win the games that are in front of you before you start worrying about the rest of the teams in the standings, for sure. But 2 games over the next 20, it doesn't sound like a lot. It could be a lot, right? It's not easy. And to have just a flat out better record than Orlando, you got to do that. And them dealing with some injuries certainly could help the Heat accomplish those things. But I do think that there's something to be said about this Heat team being as healthy as they've been all season right now, assuming that Tyler Herro comes back and he's 100% and Norm Powell, ditto for him. Everybody's going to be dealing with some lingering stuff, but everybody in the league is. But if Miami's just a little bit healthier than some of these teams, that is an advantage.
Absolutely. It should be. And look, it's about starting to build habits. It sounds so cliche, and we've heard it from Spoke for a number of years, but this is the time of year where you want to start building those habits and trending in the right direction, being able to be continuously better and growing and embracing that identity, whatever it is, because I'm still not sure what we're going to see. It's probably going to be a defensive-minded group. Yep. It's probably going to be a team that struggles offensively at times, although I think Tyler's return is certainly going to be helpful in that regard. But it's about getting that kind of consistency. And you've talked about it too.
Do you think that identity, are you questioning what the identity of this team is? I kind of think I know what this team looks like now, which is very different than I think this time last year. It's, to your point, they're going to be a top 5-ish defense. They're going to push the pace for better or for worse. They're going to do it. And that's the team. That's what they're going to do. I kind of feel like I know what they're going to do. They're not, and in crunch time, they're going to run some sort of wheel action to get a guy a 3-point shot, and whoever they think has the best shot, that's who they're going to go to.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think those are the foundation of what this group is, but it just feels like there's something missing, and maybe it's just more of an emotional factor or kind of, again, the sense of urgency that I've wanted to see from this group. But I think that needs to be a part of it. How do you see yourself as far as this team is concerned. And it's about, do you see yourself as a legitimate contender, or is this just kind of a placeholder of a season? What's the feeling of this group? Because I think they took everybody by surprise to start the year, and they were kind of feeling themselves and going on TNT and describing their offense in great detail and everything else. And that's fine. But now where are you? You're 56 games into the season, and I feel like you've taken a step back. How do you approach the next 26 games? What's the mentality in that locker room? And to that, I'm looking to the veteran players. I'm looking at Eric Spoelstra. I'm looking for a push, something of a more emotional bet that kind of says, you know what? We recognize we have an opportunity, and we want to take that opportunity. So I'm curious to see if this group has it, because I think now that you don't have the hangover of the trade deadline, you're not going to make any additional roster moves or anything like that. This is your team, for better or for worse. So lean into it, make the most of it, and see how many games you can win.
You mentioned roster moves there. He did make a pair of roster moves on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that and what it means for the rest of this roster and other potential additions down the road next here on Locked On Heat. Stay tuned.
New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think, there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. You'll love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number. Nothing will get missed. Everyone sees a full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. And it works right from your phone or your computer. And you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps, so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from small solo operators to growing teams like yours. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus you get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonba. That's QUO.com/lockedonba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed sponsored jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, whether it's the skills, experience, or location you need. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We'll be right back.
Again, for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. The best way to support the show, like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. Last bit of news to get to here. The Heat have promoted Myron Gardner from his two-way contract to the 15th and final roster spot. It is a 3-year deal, partial guarantees in the second and third seasons. In other words, an Ellersburg Classic is what we call these. The Heat get him under a team-friendly deal, a guy that they like, who they think brings a lot of energy, and frankly has been playing really well in his spot minutes on that two-way. He's 24 years old, 6'5", plays bigger than his size. He's shooting 40% from three. He contributes on the boards. Defensively, he's active. This is a good move, I think, on a guy who, probably tops out as an end of rotation type of guy, but you need those guys and you get them on a team-friendly contract. I think it's just good business. They promote Trevor Keels up from the G League to backfill his two-way spot. I still like Keels. I've liked him since college, but nice little bit of news there for Myron Gardner there, David.
Yeah, I mean, not unexpected. We talked about it in a recent episode that Miami was going to make a roster move similar to this, and it's exactly what they did. So this is the way the team operates. They take a guy that they believe in and they like his potential. They like his work ethic. They appreciate what he brings to the table. And I think this team still has the same problem it's going to have, which is that they're missing top tier talent. They're missing their superstar on the roster. But if you can fill out the rest of the roster with guys that you think are good contributors, and Gardner has certainly shown that ability over the last few games, then why not reward him with a contract? It paid off for Haywood Highsmith. Who knows? Gardner might have a moment in a playoff game where he has to go out there and bring that level of energy that you talked about, maybe knock down the 3-point shot and stir something. Because we've seen him do that before, where he's put up a number of points in a quick burst and help Miami find a way to win. So if that's the case, you want to continue to develop him and promote him. Promoting him certainly goes a long way towards giving him the comfort and the ability to just say, you know what, I know I'm assured a spot here. I'm going to keep doing the work necessary to get better and better. You want to reward guys like that across the league. And I think Gardner has shown that he's a good player, and a player who's capable. Maybe there's a limited ceiling there, but you don't really care about that. You're not going to find another player. And I think that's the question a lot of fans have, is like, oh, why don't you go out and get a more established veteran name? What's the difference? Those guys aren't necessarily going to help this team. Gardner's not necessarily going to help this team, but he could. And if that's the case, you already got somebody who knows the system, plays well, is a supporter of the franchise and the guys on this roster that he plays with. And that's what you want. You want to bring in somebody who's a seamless fit and not rock the boat too much at this point in the season.
And you need guys like this on your roster. Not everybody can come in. Veterans are going to expect playing time, things like that. The Heat have a lot of free agents this summer, and getting Myron Gardner under contract, you just, okay, we've got this guy. By the way, partial guarantees. If you need to move off him and clear that roster spot for whatever reason, easy, right? You could do that. But right now, team-friendly contract, guy who's not going to be demanding a ton of minutes or expecting a ton of minutes, but when he's out there, makes the most of them. You need guys like Gardner at the end of your bench. In terms of what it means for other roster additions, David, the Heat now, all 15 spots on their roster are occupied. So if they were wanting to make another roster addition, they'd have to waive somebody. That guy would probably be Terry Rozier in this case. The Heat players have until March 1st who are waived to sign and still be eligible for the playoffs. So the Heat can monitor the buyout market over the next couple of weeks here, depending on some tanky teams that might make some moves here. If that's something that they need to do or want to do, they could still do that. That's still an option for them. It would just require waiving Rozier first. I don't anticipate that is planned right now, but obviously things happen, and if the Heat want to change their mind, they can. But right now, this is the roster. They're not going to add, and the oft-asking question, are they going to add a big man for depth? Nope. They've made it this far without him, without adding that player, and they don't clearly feel like they need to go in that direction.
Yeah, is there a name that's out there? Like everybody keeps thinking, add a big man. It's like, okay, show me one that's going to add to this roster and get some playing time and be a real contributor. It's like, I mean, Golden is already on the roster. He can't crack the rotation for a reason. I just don't know that there's a player out there that's going to be that much of an addition or a factor in any way.
If he thought that player was out there, they would have signed him by now, right? They had Precious Achiuwa, and they waived him too, right? Like they don't feel like they need that.
Speaking of Achiuwa's team, the Sacramento Kings, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, all out for the year. Are we going to see DeMar DeRozan waived before the start of the season?
There was a report that they are not planning on doing that. I still think that it makes more sense for them to try to.
Yeah, I don't.
DeMar would have to go in there and say, "I need to be on a playoff team or something right now. Like get me out of here." And he might have to give up some money back. It makes more sense for them to keep that salary slot and try to turn that into something useful for them in the summer, because it's partially guaranteed. $10 million of his contract next year is guaranteed. So it's a lot of money that they would have to potentially buy out too. He would have to give up a lot. And at this stage, I don't know that that's something that you want to do. And if he did give up that much money, he would be signing for a prorated minimum in Miami to do what exactly? If I'm DeRozan, I'm just like, you know what? Let me collect my cash, finish the year, and then we kind of broach this topic again this summer.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just trying to think. Like you hinted at some tanky teams. Like
that was the team I was thinking of. I just who knows, right? DeRozan could say, "Get me the heck out of here, dude. I don't want to be in Sacramento anymore." But I don't mean to speak for him. But there's other teams like Utah. Would they waive Kevin Love or something? Would that be a reunion that they'd be open to? Like, it might not be something that is super exciting, but maybe there's something out there like that. I just right now.
I'd be happy with that.
Any of that.
Yeah, I'd be fine with the re-addition of Love. I mean,
Sure.
he's not going to hurt anything, and I think he can still help in terms of veteran leadership and everything else that he brings to the table at this stage in his career. I don't know that there's a lot of other names out there that kind of fill that gap, and they do appreciate somebody who has familiarity with the system. So I could see that working out, but I don't know. Again, I think even Kevin would probably prefer playing for a contender at this point in his career too.
That'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Heat so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to join the club.